The New York Mets bullpen imploded yesterday as Paul Blackburn gave up 4 runs in just a third of an inning. Is MLB deadening the baseballs as Juan Soto has a crazy high exit velo ball just die in right field? And what prospects have been looking up for the New York Mets and could potentially help us in the near future? All that and much more next on MetCast. What's going on, Met fans? As always, I am Ray, and if you're enjoying this content, I ask you to like and subscribe if it's your first time here. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this segment. But yesterday, yes, it was a absolutely tough loss to endure for us Met fans, as we had a commanding lead over the Tampa Bay Rays, who, let's be honest, are putting up about 5.5 runs a game. Clay Holmes, that was the initial story of the game. Pulled early, only 79 pitches. New York Met fans, including myself, were wondering why on earth would they be pulling him this early. Some post-game comments, Mendy said he'd be around 85 pitches or so before they would pull him, something that we were not aware of. So I'm assuming that Paul Blackburn was the person that was going to be backing him up pretty much regardless of what happened, because if he only had 85 pitches, he was not going to go through 6 innings. But the folks over at SNY touched on it. They made a video on it. Let's take a look.
Holmes confirming that was the plan going into this game, that he would be limited, said that he was sore coming out of that last outing in Colorado, given the...
Did we all know that Clay Holmes was sore coming out of his last outing in Colorado? I don't remember that being reported. Maybe you guys do. Let me know.
Recovery is just different because of the altitude and everything playing there. Is that something that you experienced when you pitched in Colorado? What is that recovery like?
Yeah, I think every guy experiences that altitude. There's something about it. Like it's the oxygen that you can't get. Like you feel your labored breathing, your muscles for recovery just don't bounce back quite as they do normally. I hardly ever had a sore arm, but when I was in Colorado, it just, especially if you have a flight afterward and being on a plane is also added to that, it's just different and your body's not used to it. I loved so many things from what I heard in that post game because the plan, having an idea, this is a true sign of a very healthy, positive organization. The being proactive instead of reactive, understanding that, hey, this could be something down the road. He's not recovering. Let's back it down now. We're already going to talk about his innings limit. Let's do it now. That way he can bounce back a little bit more. I love it. This is such a great sign from the organization to pay attention to that, to have that open line of communication between player, staff, and the training room. All these things are the symbiosis of what makes baseball great. It's a long season. This is hard to do. That recovery is important because if he doesn't recover now, they push him because he only gave up the 1 run on an 0-2 home run. That is normally he's going to keep going back out because this is a chance for him to stretch that lead and to build up even more. No, they made the proper decision thinking long.
We also got to remember, Clay Holmes is already pitching more this year than he has in his entire career. So I understand the pitching limits and using a guy like Paul Blackburn, who clearly did not have it out of the gate last night.
To nip this in the bud now, try to take care of it, and they'll stay. Clay Holmes said that he'll probably go back to normal pitch count, but they'll evaluate it and keep it going. They have a plan, they're executing their plan, and they're willing to pivot off of that. It's beautiful to hear.
And that's your Clay Holmes explanation right there. I understand it, but clearly when Paul Blackburn doesn't have it yesterday, Mendy left him in too long. And that's been, in my opinion, a thing happening too much throughout the season. Again, I like Mendoza as a manager, but I feel like too many times he sticks with his guys too long. He brings in Max Kranick, who continues to get lit up after that. Now I want to get to our hot player of the month. And how could it not be anyone other than Juan Soto? Since June 1st, that 366 average, that 1262 OPS, the guy's been exactly what we were hoping for him to be the entirety of his Mets career, which is still very young. But one thing I want to address yesterday, and it's something that Frank the Tank has spoken about pretty much all year long. Is MLB deadening these baseballs? Last night, we all thought he hit the game-tying 2-run home run. It was a missile. You see him watching it. You and I are both thinking it's way out of here, maybe in the second deck, and then it dies on the warning track. So something interesting I decided to do. Let me go look in Baseball Savant to see how hard that ball was hit. It was 110.8 miles per hour off the bat. And let's remember, they round up in MLB. That's 111 miles an hour off the bat, and it dies on the warning track. Now, something another ex-follower brought up to me said, yeah, there was a little crosswind, though, going from right field to left field. Might have affected it. I was looking at it. It was around 6 miles an hour. It should not be affecting balls like that. So I'm starting to think in my mind, where are those monstrous home runs that we used to see over the last few years? You even look at a guy like Aaron Judge. He's not hitting these towering home runs. So I'm wondering if early on MLB is tinkering with the baseball. Because one thing that we've noticed throughout Major League Baseball is what? They're trying to shorten these games. Less offense, more pitching means quicker games. So I'm wondering if MLB has anything to do with these balls being deadened. It's a conspiracy theory. I understand it, but I go back and look. 111 miles an hour off the bat. You couldn't have hit it any sweeter. It's Juan Soto. It was a line drive. It wasn't like it was something towering up in the air where the wind's going to grab it. It was a line drive. And I thought it was out of here. But let me know what your guys think, what your thoughts are down in the comments. Now, last but certainly not least, a player that I spoke to earlier in the week, with John Harper about. I'll be sure to link that video at the end of this video if you want to take a look at it. He broke down several of the Mets prospects and what's going on with the team. But Jet Williams, we need to continue to highlight this kid down in Double-A who, let's be honest, last year, supposedly going into camp, there was a chance of him making this team. 186 at-bats, 290 average, a 400 on-base percentage, which means he's got a great eye at the plate, 18 stolen bases, and a 916 OPS. To me, the New York Mets need to look to promote this kid to AAA as soon as possible. He's got to play in center field because the Mets need to make that decision as the deadline gets closer and closer. Are they going to add a bat at second in center field? What are they doing at second base? Is McNeil going to sit there? And what's going to happen with the battle at third base? Let's be honest. Mauricio has been a lot of high and a lot of down this year so far. Looks like he can handle a lot of the fastballs, but he looks atrocious when it comes to breaking balls. And that's the difference between Major League Baseball and AAA and AA. Can you adjust to that curveball? I'm glad to see the New York Mets giving him an extended run. So let's hope that continues, because I believe the only real way to judge a prospect is to look at him in a hole and give him an extended run. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you're enjoying this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Hopefully the New York Mets can take this series from Tampa Bay. And as always, let's go Mets. Peace.